For centuries, the Last Supper has been viewed as a somber historical farewell, a final dinner captured in a moment forever frozen in time. Approaching the event this way makes it a relic of the past. It becomes an inaccessible museum piece, disconnected from the present. But the meal was never intended to be an ending. It was a catalyst for a different way of being. Beyond the historical tragedy, these events provide a practical guide for inner change. To find that guide, we have to look past the timeline of the story and focus on the specific items resting on the table. Consider these 4 objects: the bread, the cup, the wash basin, and the table itself. In a sacramental tradition, a physical object acts as a sign. It is a tangible tool used to trigger a deeper internal reality. Examining the qualities of these items clarifies the process of dismantling the ego and reorganizing our lives around service. We begin with the bread. When Jesus said, "This is my body," he was describing a life offered up in service to others. But for the bread to fulfill that purpose, it first has to be broken. The loaf represents a whole, singular unit. To share it, that structure must be compromised. This physical tearing mirrors the internal struggle of letting go of a rigid, self-centered identity. An expansive, compassionate self only has room to emerge once that defensive shell of the ego is surrendered. Next is the cup of wine, which introduced a new covenant. This replaced an old system of animal sacrifice with a relationship based entirely on grace. On a psychological level, the act of drinking symbolizes the internalizing of our entire experience. This includes accepting both profound joys and inevitable suffering as necessary parts of growth. The cup provides the framework needed to integrate those difficult moments into our development. A third object sits away from the table, the wash basin. In an ancient world where greatness meant dominance, the act of washing a follower's feet was a shock to the social order. It showed that true greatness requires stripping away our desire for status and hierarchy. Leadership is found in direct service to others. The wash basin reorders human authority, demonstrating that the highest influence comes from the lowest position. Finally, there is the table itself, representing a community where people of all backgrounds are welcome. It also serves as a mirror for internal integration. It requires us to bring every part of ourselves to the surface, even our doubts. Judas's presence at this table is an essential metaphor. He represents the capacity within each of us to betray our own deepest values. Recognizing this tendency is the first step toward real change. Wholeness is achieved by inviting our failures and shadows to the table of grace. The meal concludes with a command to do this in remembrance. This is a mandate for active change. To remember is to internalize a specific character, marked by love, surrender, and forgiveness, and make it part of our own lives. This leaves a single, lingering question. What part of your old self must be surrendered so that a new life can emerge?